This is Frank film. It's the story of my life
1972,
from the beginning up to the
71,
present and
70,
into the future.
60,
Perhaps
67,
I should call it Fast
66,
Frank film.
65,
Basically what it
64,
is that I've been
63,
saving images for the
62,
past 5 or 6 years.
61,
All the things
60,
that appeal to me because I
59,
like them.
58,
And sometimes I like them
57,
just because they look nice,
56,
and other times
55,
I like them because they mean
54,
something special to me.
53, 52,
I'll start at the beginning. I
51,
was
50,
born in Key
49,
West, Florida.
48,
My father was in a naval
47,
station there.
46,
And
45,
I was the first of
44,
5
September
kids.
6th,
And it was,
1944. Me.
I guess a
Moi.
good time to be born.
Morris.
The war was almost
Francis
over.
Peter
It was
Morris.
1944.
Michael Joseph Morris.
And I enjoyed being the
Catherine
first
Jean
of 5
Morris.
kids because
Philip
that means I
James
got
Morris.
spoiled for 5.
Sue Patricia Morris.
And I had a very strict
Saint
religious
Francis, Saint
upbringing,
James,
which I feel
Saint Camillus,
helped me in my
Saint
work
Jerome,
later. It gave me
Saint
a
Agnes, Jesus,
kind
Mary, and
of
Joseph,
asceticism,
Pope Pius,
Calvinism,
or Pope Paul,
almost a Protestant
the
work
Ascension,
ethic, even though it was
the
a super
Assumption,
Catholic environment.
Ashday,
And we lived in
Fine
rather
furniture,
comfortable better, and we had more things around
channel,
the house. And
frequency,
I enjoyed
AM,
having
FM,
things around,
Formica,
and I still do, so I
flagstone,
saved them a lot.
flecked marble,
And one of the things I really liked then, and I
cloak
still
bell,
like now, is
full of
food.
suds, foams you clean,
It's one of my
4
favorite
burners,
things because
fully
you can look
automatic,
at it,
frost
and
is
then you
off
can
the
eat it
pumpkin,
and enjoy it,
fried egg,
and you sort
frying
of bring
egg,
it inside you.
flying egg, fresh
And
hash,
there
and home
just
fries,
is never enough
fruit
food to satisfy
fruit
me.
cones,
And I
fridge,
liked animals.
frozen TV dinners.
I always had a dog,
Fido,
or a fish,
Pal,
or a
Rocky,
favorite elephant at the
King,
zoo.
Lucky,
We had a parakeet,
Michi,
and
Langford,
I have
Fritz,
a dog now.
Fluffy,
And I think I'll probably
Feathers,
always have some kind of
Fleas,
animal around.
Fetch Fritzy, first grade, first
And
day of school,
let's see.
fine cut, filter
I guess
tip,
I'm thinking
fully
about the
mentally,
time I started to go to
Philip
school
Morris. Find
and
'em, feel,
smoking
forget
in the
'em.
back of the
Food for
bus
thought.
and
French
swearing
fries,
and
fried
telling
onions,
jokes
fish
and
and chips,
eating and drinking
frosty
and
fraps,
eating some more.
Fizzies,
I think one of
Fanta,
my favorite
Fritos,
times was
fig Newtons,
lunchtime,
filberts,
just to
fruit
see what was in my
fondue,
lunchbox.
fresh milk,
And
fennel,
desserts were about the
fenugreek,
best thing there
flambe,
was.
flank steak, fritters, flapjacks,
Food just
flapdoodle,
constantly is there.
flan, fish
From
balls,
an early age, I
fleshed
always
out.
wanted to go work at my
Flat-
father's gas
flat
station. I
tire,
used to cry and
flats
cry and
fixed,
say, "Daddy, please let me
four-wheel
come and
drive,
work in your gas
four-door,
station."
four
Well,
on
he
the floor,
finally let me, and I used to go and
442,
work there
fuel injection,
every Saturday when
flat
school
out,
got out.
foot
Then there got
stomping,
to be a
fender
point where I
skirts,
didn't want to go, and I
fifth
almost
wheel,
used to cry to stay
flywheel,
home. But
liver,
I'd become
flashers,
enamored of automobiles,
fins,
not
fender
mechanically.
benders,
I
Ferraris,
couldn't do anything to
Fords,
fix them, but
Phaetons,
I
filling
just liked
station,
designing them.
filler up,
And then I had
fly
the
by
usual
night, flag
teenage
down,
sexual
fleshy,
fantasies,
full-blown
which I
floozies,
won't go into
full and
too
around,
specifically,
friction,
either visually or
firm
verbally.
flanks, funny bone,
And
phallus, falsies,
I discovered
foam
other
rubber,
people
forbidden
at this
fruit,
point.
finger dew,
I had a
fish
number
and finger
of
pie.
crushes
I love
on
you,
girls in
ich liebe
school.
dich, je t'aime.
And
First love, first
for the
base.
first time I started relating
Joan,
to people
Barbara,
outside me. I'd always
Sherry,
been very private up to
Lois,
that point.
Ruth,
Never shared
Lucy,
anything with
Mary,
anyone outside
Julie,
my family. But
Ellen,
just
Evelyn,
one girl after
Anne
another,
Marie,
I'd fall madly in
Geraldine,
love with
Louise,
some feature or
Constance,
some group
Jane,
of features
Marianne,
and follow
Elaine,
her everywhere.
Susan,
and in
Gay,
general, be a pest.
Barbara,
But
Anne, Betty,
sometimes
Mary,
I succeeded
Jane, Mary
in
Ellen,
accomplishing what
Ratsy,
I wanted
Bobby, Joan,
And
Christine,
I thought that it was
Pamela,
it
Kathy,
was
Mary,
it was nice to be
Bobo,
around
Lansing,
girls, and I thought
Sandra,
maybe someday I
Grace,
would do
Peggy,
something, say
Matilda,
in
Theodora,
fashion
Tammy,
or
Valerie,
makeup or
Carol,
something
Carol,
that would allow me
Caroline,
to constantly
Caroline
work
Gray,
on them and shape
Caroline
them in the
Gertrude
image I had of
Alphonse,
them.
Alphonse,
I liked working with my
Poopsie,
hands. I thought
finger,
that whatever it
fingers,
was I
finger
eventually
nails,
ended up
five
doing,
finger
it would be with my
exercise,
hands.
fingerboard, fiddle around,
Because I
fit
felt
is a fiddle,
that
fiddle
even though
foul,
I
finger in
saw
the
things
pie,
with my
finely
eyes, I was
fashioned,
manually
firmly
inclined.
fleshy, flesh toned,
I was very
flesh-colored,
involved
full of grace,
after a while
forceful,
in
flawless,
clothes, how
flexible,
I looked
faultless,
to other people.
fling about,
I was very
fling off,
concerned
fling
with
down,
the kinds of
fitted
things
glove,
one should
forced
have that
entry,
you should put
fly
on.
away, far
And
and
I was
away,
concerned with
far
the
out,
social
fop,
graces like
foppish,
dancing. I took
foppery,
all our dance
frills,
classes
frocks,
very
furs,
seriously.
finery,
I wore my most
frou-frous,
outrageous
flags,
outfits to
fleet
school
footed,
dances.
fancy footwork,
And
foxtrot,
then it was time to go to
frog
college,
prince,
and I
frosh, freshman,
went to college, and I
fresh-faced
started
fathead, full of it,
getting a
pinky,
rather swell
Froggy the
impression
Gremlin,
of how
fresh
great I
milk,
was.
frosh,
That faded,
fraternal,
and I
fraternity,
was
free association,
not too
free as a
successful
bird,
at sports.
free
Then I got
alongside
into
ship, free
just sort of
thinking, free
socializing
company,
with
country,
other people for the
free
first
for
time,
all,
rather than
free
just
from
tracking
pain,
down
free from sin,
one
free
person and going after
free road
them.
ahead,
I
free
just
style,
tried
free
to be
spender,
with people
free tickets,
socially, and that
free love,
opened up another
free
whole
wheeling,
world
free
for me. Up
world,
until then,
free
I'd been
loading,
a loner
free
or
school,
someone
free
who
state,
chased
free
one girl,
list,
but
free market,
at
free
college I
offer,
sort of learned
free on board,
to talk to
free
other
while this
people.
offer lasts.
Although I was still pretty studious,
First
I spent
things
most of
first,
my time
fall semester,
studying. Wasn't
full
exactly
professor,
sure what
Phi
I was
Beta
going to
Kappa,
do. I thought I'd be a
fluency,
teacher.
foreign
I had no
languages,
idea at
file
that
cards,
point that I'd end
footnotes,
up in
frontispiece,
graphic
forward,
design as a graduate
Frank,
student.
form letter,
I thought
funny
maybe I
papers,
would write
floating
letters to
opera.
people
Form
as a
follows
profession.
function.
That was
Floor
something I
room.
enjoyed doing.
Foundation.
But while I
Four
was
walls.
in college, I
Frame
had to
house,
major in
foyer.
something, so
Front room.
I studied
Fenestration.
architecture.
French doors.
And I got
frescoes,
carried away with it
friezes,
for a couple of years. I thought
finials,
that was really what I was meant to
fluted
do.
columns, furbishings,
And yet,
furnishings,
I slowly began to
for
realize
rent,
that you
for
can't
sale.
build a building
Fine
all by
art,
yourself.
Fine Arts
So I got
13,
wooed away
figure
from
ground,
architecture
foreground,
just before I graduated
foreshortening,
and decided that
Flemish
art was
school,
the answer, and
flesh
I would be a
tones,
painter
folk art,
or a
funk
sculptor,
art,
because then you can
formalism,
do the thing entirely
forgery,
yourself. I would be the new
freehand,
Andy
freelance,
Warhol or
Francis
whatever.
Bacon, Sam Francis,
There was a brief
Fed,
political phase
FTC,
in college
FHA,
that must have lasted
FBI,
3 weeks.
for God and country,
Uh,
for freedoms,
Then
4th
came a
of
very
July,
confusing time.
fifth
I didn't know
column,
where all this was
flamethrowers,
leading up to, and I didn't know where I
fortifications,
should go to graduate school or
four
what
more
would
years,
happen. Everything
flat
just
feet,
sort of
4F,
stopped,
fed up,
and it just sort of ground to a
Absolutely
halt.
Nothing.
And then slowly
Phoenix,
I just sort
fresh
of
start,
rebuilt myself. I decided to go to
Frankenstein,
graduate school
Flush left,
and
flush right.
learn
Front page,
something
folios. Flats, first
vaguely
page, first
mechanical,
column,
that
first
is
story,
graphic
first
design, but it was
edition,
also
foundry proof,
visual
four-color,
and aesthetic.
brisket,
And through that I
cricket,
got interested in
phonetic,
photography.
Franklin
And then
Gothic,
suddenly through
folio
photography
bowl,
I got
Ventura
interested in
light,
filmmaking,
Furman
specifically
Fausto
animation.
Caps,
And all of a sudden
fancy
there it
Celtic,
was. That was what I
portrait,
really wanted to
fat
do,
shadow,
was to
fine
work
focus,
with
fine
animated
grain,
images
fuzzy
and
focus,
make
follow
my
focus,
world with them.
f-stop,
And
field
so
depth,
for my 3
field
years
size,
in
field
graduate
guide,
school, I just
field
played
chart,
around with
fade out,
different
fade
ways
in,
to
frame
animate different
counter,
kinds of
40
things.
frames a foot,
And hopefully
fast
they
forward,
would be
Fantasia,
things that hadn't even
fantasy,
been animated
film
before.
freak, Francois
So
Truffaut,
that was about
Federico
halfway through my
Fellini,
great saving up
Jean-Luc
period of
Godard,
all these images.
First
And
place,
that
first
led to my
prize,
fantasies of
first
what would
fruits,
happen
first
when
night,
all of
fame
that
and
came
fortune,
together, and
festivals,
I was
flags, fiestas,
sending my
floodlights,
films to international
London,
film festivals
Annecy,
and
Zagreb,
winning
Mumbai,
awards,
Cannes,
being
Venice,
a fat cat
New York,
surrounded
LA,
by people who
Hollywood,
would light my
Atlanta,
cigarettes and
Chicago,
offer me a drink
Academy
and say,
Award,
yes,
Oscar,
that was a great film, we
fireworks,
can't wait
Four
for your next
Seasons,
one. And
first class all the way.
that's about as
Fat
far
cat,
into the future
fancy
as I can
circles, high
fantasize. It only
finance,
leaves me
first and foremost.
feeling
1944,
satisfied because I think I can make it
45,
now. And I
46,
just sort of think of all the
47,
things that have been in my life so
49,
far,
50,
and they all just
51,
sort of come
52,
flowing over me.
53, 54,
And
55, 56, 57,
they sort of present
58,
themselves to you in your
59, 60,
recollections of what
61,
I've talked
62,
about.
63, 64,
And all I can say is
65,
this is
66,
the beginning, this is
67,
the first
68,
film you'll see,
69,
and
70,
there'll be
71,
plenty of others to
72.
follow, and
Frank
hopefully
Film.
they'll all be as
Sound
different
by
as
Tony
this one.
Schwartz.
And
Produced by
they'll have
Caroline
something more
Alfors Morris.
specific to say
Created
about
by
me
Frank
in
Morris.
this one. This
The
one is
end.
just sort of preparing you for those.